Beautiful. Yeah. Hey, folks. How's everyone doing? It is Sunday. Let's see. Oh, wow. September the 8th already. I'm Ben. How's everyone doing? We have my good friend, guitar picker, YouTuber, all-around great guy, Mr. Rhett Shull in the house, folks.
What's going on, everybody? I had a last minute, had to mute the video because I have it pulled up and it was coming through. So if you guys are hearing that, I'm sorry. There we go.
I'll get copyrighted on my own copyright.
Yeah, right. Okay, now I'm getting okay. Got the chat pulled up, got the video pulled up. I think we're good.
Awesome. So if you want to get a shout out, folks, you know how it is. Say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. That's awesome. I'm going to start at the top here. We got first in the chat, Mr. Zach Thong from about an hour up the road from me. We got Mozzie tuning in from the UK. We got the Dogpa from the West Coast, California, as they say. Scrolling down, we got Brad Miller. Hope you weathered the storm down in Tampa okay. We got Guitar Hack tuning in. He's here for a bit, and he's going to watch the game with the son. I get it. I get that. Hobo Roadie, Terry's GG&G, Randy Crooks. How you doing, guys? Denny Allen, Aaron Cram. Scrolling upside down. There's our NAM buddy Aaron from Albus Band. Always a pleasure, brother.
Yes.
Let's see. Joe Hervey 84. Scrolling. John L. Welcome. Michael Bishop. Good to see you, man. We got lovely Janice in the house. Ron Limber has a question. Ask away. That's what we're here for. Chris Sorrentos. Welcome. Welcome one. Welcome all. Let's see. There's Phil Mosley Music. Cowtown Customs, Mark Taft, Brax Doublefield, Brittle, my lovely sister Amanda, Thomas Santiago, Brenda B. Squared, Hey Butt Cheeks, Brian Bond, GRR, Jasco Plumbing Supply, Stephen S., Daniel Horsley, Robbie Johnson, Guitar Man 45P, and I think, there's Jimmy Biter. There we are. I think that's it.
Nice. That's cool, man. I'm going to try and not do my Guitar Center noodling thing. I hate that. Like, everyone, we all have our stock sort of like Guitar Center isms, when you like pick up a guitar at a shop. You just put the same stock licks, So
I remember when I was hanging out with my buddy JJ during Winter NAMM, I was playing a bunch of his guitars. And I said, did I ever show you this lick? He goes, dude, you play it in every demo. I know the Ben Coombs lick.
I have my acoustic version of that. I play it every single time, literally without fail. When I pick up an acoustic guitar, I do this. Let's see if I get a sound right here. Every time. It's my stock acoustic lick. Very
let's see here. Hey, Brian Landreth, good to see you, man. David Ennis. Let's see. Does anyone know who the guy is in Henning's 42 Gear Street video playing acoustic and singing with RJ? Don't know his channel, and I want to find him. Good question. I have to see the video.
I haven't seen any videos from 42 Gear Street yet.
China Guitar Skeptic is over there. He's been live every day so far. Include RJ did a show yesterday morning from there.
Yep.
But and I saw Living Room Gear Demos has done a couple of 10 questions. He did 10 questions with RJ, 10 questions with someone else, and but I haven't seen any demos per se.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was hanging out with RJ when he first got, I think, the invite for that, and he was explaining it to me, and it's a really cool idea. I think, is this the first year they've done 42 Gear Street?
This is the first year Henning's done it on his own, but he basically set up GitCon 2 or 3 years ago. He set up TGU. So he has some experience, but it's his first own fully independent deal. And I'd like to say it's about damn time RJ was invited to one of these events, between monster player, and he puts out some great demos.
He's probably, out of guitar players that I personally know, both from the YouTube world and from the gigging touring world. He's probably the most well-rounded and best player in terms of feel and touch. Like every single time I sit and play with him or just watch him play on one of his videos, it just blows my mind how there seems to be a direct connection between his brain formulating an idea, a phrase, a lyrical idea, and then it just comes through his hands effortlessly with no mistakes. And when he does make mistakes, it still sounds good. I'm not that type of player at all. So he's a monster, man. I'd love to see him do more of that kind of stuff, you know.
I agree. Hey, we got Six String Brian, Robert Metzeberg, and Mr. Lawrence Petross joining us.
Oh, PD, what's up, man?
Nice.
Also, shout out to Jasco Plumbing Supply, old Matt down there. That's cool.
Yeah, Jasco's the man. Yeah, RJ's a total chameleon, and that's a compliment, Aaron says. I agree. Like, let's be honest, you know, he can demo basically any type of genre of instrument if you want to, you know, for the most part, you know, I think that the only thing we haven't seen him play is like a fan fret.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's a good question here from Chris Sorrentos. I hope it's cool that I'm just jumping into it.
Of course.
Here. Am I going to buy the Les Paul I played in Europe? Okay. So I guess for the uninitiated, I went and played a gig in London. I guess that was about 5 weeks ago. And Gibson loaned us some guitars because when you're traveling internationally, the baggage fees are astronomical. And so I only wanted to bring one guitar. And so we went to the Gibson showroom in London, and I just expecting like grab a Les Paul or whatever, you know, to have for the show. And with Noah, I have one guitar in standard and one guitar in open E for slide stuff because I play about maybe 40% of the set on slide. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just grab a Les Paul, whatever, and throw an open E. And the Les Paul that I found or that they had there ended up being one of the greatest guitars I've ever played in my life. From any brand, like not greatest Les Paul I've ever played, not greatest Gibson. I mean, one of the best guitars, period. It's a 2014 custom shop collector's choice. It's serial number 18 from the collector's choice line, and it's a clone of the Dutch Burst.
Okay.
And so it's a clone of a 60, so it has the slimmer neck profile than like a 59 would have. And man, that guitar just was a ringer. It was so apparent that, you know, we were all traveling together, the whole band, and our tour manager was in the showroom together hanging out, and our drummer, bass player, tour manager, everyone, as soon as I plugged it up, and I plugged it up into like a Black Star amp, which is a good amp, but not like it wasn't some mind-blowing like hand-wired boutique thing.
Right.
Plugged it into this Black Star they had in the shop there, and everyone stopped talking and was like, whoa, what's going on with that thing? That's special. So to answer the question, am I going to buy it? Probably not. They did end up offering like an artist price, which is very cool of them to do, but I still can't afford the artist price.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of those things, like I know where it is.
Right.
And
and as long as they don't sell it, you probably, chances are you would have access to it for future fly-in dates.
Yeah. And so like coming up in December, we're going on tour through the Netherlands, and Noah's playing some solo stuff. He's playing a show in London and then in Scotland. And I was talking to him today. We had rehearsal today, and I was like, hey man, what would it take for you to go by the shop and grab the Les Paul from London and like take it for the rest of the tour? So we'll see. I might have it in December, but
nice.
Yeah.
Zach Thong says he just subscribed to your channel.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I was trying to think. I had found out about you, I believe, in and around through RJ, maybe.
Cool.
And then you went live from the green room, you and Noah, backstage while Dwight was playing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I came across the live stream waiting for somebody else to go live, I think. And you know, I tuned in. I was like, okay, these guys are pretty cool. And then I'm like, and then it was Todd Flowers, a mutual subscriber of ours. He's like, you notice what's playing in the background? So I turn up the speakers on the laptop, and I'm like, Oh, dang, that's Dwight.
Yeah.
Okay. And I may be a rocker guy, but I've always had a soft spot for Dwight because when he hit the scene, in the late 80s, he was more full on country than any country act.
Yeah.
And I went, that guy's hardcore. I like that.
Well, let me tell you, man, they put on one hell of a show. His band is slamming. His guitar player, who God, I can't remember his name. They're all LA guys, and it's two things. One, it's one of the loudest shows I've ever seen. I mean, it's punishingly loud. Because Dwight, everybody up there is using real amps, and they're all running old Fenders, old AC30s at full blast, full volume, and there ain't no attenuators going on. There's no plexiglass shields. It's just, it's like what I would have imagined seeing a concert in the 70s being, just loud. And
exactly.
Great guitar sounds, great guitar playing. And Dwight, man, he's a legend, dude. He's written how many hits over the years?
Exactly.
I mean, both for himself and for other artists. I mean, he really is he's a legacy act. So we're actually going to be going back out with him in November. We've got 4 shows, just like a quick 4-show run opening again for him, which will be fun.
And you have a one-off coming up this Saturday.
Yes. In Louisville, Kentucky, we're playing the what is it called? It's some festival.
It is a festival. Yeah, I was looking at the show poster this week.
Yeah, I know this, but I don't. It's called it's the Big Country Festival in Louisville, Kentucky. Like Tim McGraw's headlining the day we're playing. I can't find it, but if you're around Louisville, come out, make a hang.
Yeah, check it out. Full day of events, 4 stages on the go. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. You know more about my gig than I do.
Hey, booking art. That's when I reached out to you about coming on the first time I was like, I knew because what was it when you were on live last on your channel with the band? And you had said how busy you're going to be, and I went, okay. And then literally, it was a Monday morning, and Aaron messaged me, and he says, "Hey, who are you going to have on? Coming up?"
Right.
And I was like, "Well, I'm going to do a subscriber hangout this week." I'm like, I think I got somebody for next week. And literally an hour later, he's like, "Did you get anybody?" I'm like, "Yeah, I talked to Rhett. He's in." Yeah. Awesome. And because I knew you were headed out on the road, because I'm hoping to try to get up next month or the early November to your Toronto date. But
yeah, the Black Keys tour. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. I keep feeling like, oh yeah, I've got some time. It's October. I've got some time to kind of like hang out and decompress after being on the road and make some videos and everything. And then I realized yesterday, it was like, oh, that's like 3 weeks from now. And I have to go up to Nashville to start rehearsals for that tour.
Hey, I keep thinking Summer NAMM was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah. And we're already making Airbnb plans for Winter NAMM right now and booking flights and everything. I mean, it's crazy how fast this stuff starts to go by,
Right on. I'm hoping I should be out there. So
yeah, man, I think it's gonna be cool this year. We're gonna do there's gonna be a big YouTuber hang going on out there with some of the other channels, so I think it's gonna be fun. Am I playing in New York on that tour? I'm playing. Yes, I actually got 2 New York dates coming up. We're playing one of the Dwight Yoakam shows with Noah is in New York City, and that's in November. And then in December, I'll be back playing the Barclays Center in Brooklyn with the Black Keys and Modest Mouse. That's opening for those guys with Jesse Wilson. So,
yeah. Hey, Tone Rock, good to see you, man.
Yeah,
loving their stuff.
I have not been paying attention to the chat at all, and I'm sorry.
I've been back and forth. Hey, Half Ace, Brett McCord. Okay, everybody's kind of talking to each other, and
I'm just going digging.
Avian Haskell's checking out my solenoid robot from Roger Ramjet, as he likes to call my Greta amp.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it does look like a robot.
Doesn't help I have the ball cap sitting on it too.
Yeah, right. Let's see if there's any questions here.
Yes, and if we did miss your question, folks, just ask again. Tag myself or Rhett in it.
Wait, so how close are you to Toronto?
About 100 miles.
Okay. It's not that bad.
No, not too bad, except it's a hassle, right? Because it's downtown and it's hard to get in and out of Toronto.
Right. Guitar Man 45, anything in Michigan? Yeah, we're playing Detroit on the Black Keys tour. That's the whatever the Little Caesars Arena, I think it is over there.
Okay.
What pickups are in the London Les Paul, Lawrence? It's whatever came stock. So it's their custom shop, and I don't know, man. Whatever they are, they're magical. But I think it's one of those things where that guitar is just it is what it is because the sum of its parts. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure if you took those pickups out and put them in my Les Paul, it wouldn't make my Les Paul sound like the London guitar, you know.
JR is asking, how's the Baritone? I've been eyeing the Dane Electro ever since you got one.
It's cool, man. I'm actually playing it on the road next week, and actually I don't even know. Oh, I sent it with Noah and the guys today.
Okay. Hey, I might have a ride up to your gig in Toronto. Absolute Mayhem, a good buddy of mine here. He lives about a half hour east of me. He's like, I'll drive to Toronto.
Nice. So yeah, JR, the Baritone's been cool. I'm actually really excited. Revolta has a Baritone coming out, and I think October is when they're.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we're cool to talk about the Baritone.
Oh, okay.
I
know there was definitely two we're not allowed to talk about.
There's two things we're not going to talk about yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Baritone's cool, and what's cool about the Revolta one is it's got a P90 and a humbucker. I can't remember which one is in which position, but that's really cool.
Probably P90 in the neck, I would imagine.
Yeah. The Dan Electro is cool though because it's the lipstick pickups, and so it gives you that real twangy kind of. It's total spaghetti western vibes, like through and through. So I think that is sort of the best thing about it, and the worst thing about it is like it's kind of hard to get out of that space with that guitar because it is so twangy, and like the low B string rings out in the way it does. So I think the Revolta will be a little bit more versatile, but yeah.
Hey, there's Todd Flowers. We're waiting on you, bud.
6-string Brian, am I still using the Helix? I am. So there's been some interesting developments in the Helix Kemper thing. If anybody follows the Kemper groups on Facebook, I posted a video in there yesterday. The Kemper stage has been really problematic, and I was working with it to get it ready to take on the road with Noah next week. I was going to take the Kemper stage out because I was excited about it. I wanted to use it because it sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there's tons of software issues, and there's a really common problem with them where some of the foot switches will just go bad, and that happened to mine. And so as a result, yeah, I've been using the Helix. I played the HX Stomp today in rehearsal, just ran my pedal board into the HX Stomp and ran that into our in-ear rig, and it sounded great.
Nice.
Nice. Let's see here.
See a lot of football talk.
Oh, I can't.
Paul Ewing's asking where everybody is because I think he wrote down everybody who was in Pete Thorne's chat earlier today, and he told them, he says, I wrote all your names down. You better be in Ben's chat tonight.
Chris Sorrentos wants to know if I'm still in love with the Tone Bender. I am.
I'm sure Tilly asks you that every other day too.
You know what? She was actually surprisingly cool with it, because it was such a cool story and a cool experience. You know, that,
right?
I mean, it was a lot of money. It's probably too much money to spend on something like that, but I'm happy I have it. It sounds great. I probably won't take it on the road again.
I was going to say, are you ever going to actually gig with it?
I did. I took it on the Gary Clark Jr. tour about 3 weeks ago. So it spent a week out on the road. I played every night on that tour.
That kind of explains it. And it seems to me you did do a vlog about that run.
Yeah.
With some live footage. And I thought your tone sounded a little more retro. Although, man, that what a vibe. The stuff you are doing with Jesse, like, Erin and I were having a big talk about it. Like, you can't pigeonhole it because it's almost like she's singing from one genre, and then you guys got the fuzz thing going on, and then I'm hearing these big Bonham-esque drums as well, and I'm just like, it's a hodgepodge that works so well.
Yeah, well, and I can't really take credit for any of that. That was that record was produced by Patrick Carney, the drummer from the Black Keys.
Okay.
And so that explains sort of the sound, like the fuzz guitar, the big drums, the whole thing. Right. And I'm just playing what's on the record, man. Most of those parts are, you know, what Patrick played. And then there was another guitar player that they had come in during the recording process, a guy named Sensitive Steve.
Okay.
Who did some of the, I don't exactly know what he did. But yeah, I mean, most of those guitar parts are what's on the record. And what was really cool about this last tour was I actually, for the first time really ever, got to spend time playing with another guitar player. So Kevin Nolan, Nashville-based guy, came out on the road. He's now pretty sure he's in the band with us because it was perfect.
I was wondering about that because I didn't think there was two guitar players previously.
No, there never has been. And it was honestly so much more fun having another guitar player there because it sort of freed me up. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guitar parts on the record. And so what I was having to do before was sort of like pick,
right?
Okay, on the chorus, I'm going to play this part. And then on verse 1, I'm going to play this part. But then I'm going to change it up to this other part on verse 2. You're just kind of having to jump around. Mm-hmm. And so with Kevin coming on, he's an incredible player and got a really good ear. And so we just meshed pretty much immediately. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Very cool.
Choosing
between here and the men's open or the open final or the men's final of the U.S. Open. Good choice, buddy. Not going to lie.
I don't even know what the U.S. Open is. I don't know.
Tennis.
Oh, okay. Let's see. JR is asking, curious about my fuzz setup. So on the Jesse gig, basically on my main pedal board, I have most of the time that core fuzz tone is a Jex Telez Canyon Climber. And I use that because that's the pedal that was used on the record. That's what they used to cut a lot of the guitar.
That makes sense. And fuzzes are so unique that way.
Yeah, and especially that one, dude. That's a really unique fuzz tone. Dude, Jex Telez, if you guys don't know, they're based out of Detroit, and they're doing some cool stuff, man. Bob Ebling's the guy behind that company, and he's making such cool pedals. So
I'm sure Aaron must know about him. I swear that guy knows about every fuzz holder.
Yeah.
Planet.
So it's the Canyon Climber, and then I have another fuzz that I'll usually swap out. It's either another Jex Telez pedal called the Black Drone Wasp, or I'll use the Hoof Reaper V2 from Earthquaker Devices. Yeah. So, Albus, have I played Zach's Novo yet? No, I have not. I haven't been up to Nashville since he got it, which is only a couple days ago.
Right.
But it looks killer.
It does. It does. And those guitars, you know, I wasn't 100% sold, partially on the body shape, this and that. And then the first Novo, ironically, that I played was what I call the Pink Passion.
Yeah, my Pink Sparkle one.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, that's my baby, man.
Right.
Let me see if I can. It's like in a weird place behind the computer here. See if I can get this off falling over. Oh, yeah, this is.
Of course, Aaron knew about Jext. He's like, yeah, he's also a microphone drum nut. I almost booked us at a studio. See,
dude,
that's Aaron, folks.
Sorry, that was loud. But yeah, yeah, Bob, if you follow him on Instagram, you follow Jex Telez on Instagram, he's always posting. I don't know where he gets this gear from, but he has some of the most crazy, rare vintage recording gear of anybody I've ever seen. I think he's primarily a drummer, too. So,
right on.
But yeah, this is...
my sister is in love with it.
Yeah, this is it, man. This is the one right here. The story behind this guitar was I bought this from a local shop here in Atlanta called Righteous Guitars like 2.5 years ago. It was the most expensive guitar I ever bought. I think my cable's bad. And like I sold 2 guitars, maxed out a credit card, blew out my savings account to buy it. But it was one of those moments like we were talking about earlier with that Les Paul where you play it and it just immediately is like, whoa, there's something going on with this guitar, you know? And so that's what happened with this. And
I was blessed enough. I had literally met you earlier in the day face to face. Then I walked up to you at the Novo bash. I'm like, do you mind if I just strum a few? You're like, knock yourself out. And I went, oh my, this, yeah.
It's a ringer, man. I'm really lucky to have it. I got it before I had a YouTube channel or anything like that. I was touring with the Muddy Magnolias at the time, but I went in the day I bought it. It took me like a month and a half to like finally come to terms and to save the money and do it. And it was actually my wife, Tilly, because it was a lot of money. Right. And I was going back and forth on it, and we were engaged at the time. So we were like trying to do the wedding thing, and I had talked myself out of it. I was like, no, it's just, I can't spend the money and I don't need another guitar, blah, blah, blah. And she finally told me one day, she's like, you need that guitar. Like, go get it. Do whatever you need to do to get it. And so the day I bought it, I walked into Righteous. Like as soon as they opened the doors and I came in and I was doing the thing of like, okay, put this much money on this card and then put the rest on this card. And then here I've got a couple hundred in cash. And we put that down and I walked out with it. And later that day, apparently another guy who comes in there all the time and buys guitars a lot from them came in to buy it just like on a whim. And luckily I'd already snagged it. So this guitar almost, if I'd have come in a couple hours later, this guitar would have gone to somebody else. And yeah.
Crazy.
I did, you know.
And I am seeing a few new names in here. So welcome anyone that's new to the channel, and please subscribe to myself and Rhett. We do appreciate it.
Yeah. But I've learned, man, like when you run into that feeling with a piece of gear, whether it's like a guitar or an amp or something, like pay attention to that.
Yeah.
To that feeling. And if it's within reason and it's within your means to make it happen, you should make it happen.
Exactly. I fully agree. And Cliff was saying he likes your video on how artists get paid. One question is, how do you get paid? Check, cash, direct deposit, weekly, by gig, lump sum?
It can be all of the above. Most of the times, though, like when you're on the so when I started out, I was playing in bars, you know, as like a 21-year-old, you know, just out of music school. And I would play a 4-hour cover gig and make like $75 and get paid out in cash. And at the time I loved it because I was like playing my guitar and getting paid to play. So then, you know, you move on up, and most of the time I get paid, it's in check form. So most of the artists have a business team around them. So like, for instance, Jesse Wilson has a management team, a business team. And so, you know, what's nice about that is I don't have to have those financial discussions with the artist because, you know, as the player, the relationship between the player and the artist is like really important.
Yeah.
Even if you're just a hired gun or you're a co-writer or whatever, like that relationship's really important. So what it allows us to do is not have to have those like business discussions of like, how much am I getting paid and negotiating and stuff like that. So what ends up happening is we have an agreed rate that is set forth ahead of time with the management company and the business company. And it's you have a rehearsal rate, you have a show rate, you sometimes will have a travel day rate where it's like if you're on a travel day and you're not playing, you'll have a separate rate for that. And then you also have a per diem, which is usually like every day on the road, you'll get a cash like $25 or $50 or whatever to spend on food and stuff. But yeah, after the end of the tour, you just get a check written out from the business company, the financial or the business team that runs artist stuff. That's most of the stuff I do now is that way. PayPal also, you know, like sometimes if I'm doing something with Noah, they'll just like shoot me the cash and PayPal, and
sure,
it's easy. But yeah, I like having.
I think it's a lot like on whatever level you're at, like being a full-time artist, you're pulling in cash from various ways. Well, even as you get bigger or more successful in your career, you're still doing that one way or another.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the reality is, man, musicians of all stripes and backgrounds, musicians are businesses. We are our own businesses. And I think if you're going to be successful in this, you have to look at yourself that way. You have to look at yourself as a self-employed. You are CEO, CFO, of your own company, essentially. And yeah, I mean, that's just part of it. Learning how to negotiate. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that nobody really taught me in music school or anything. Was like, hey, yeah, you're going to need to know how to play your guitar and understand your gear and understand tone. But you're also going to need to know how to run a business, and you're going to need to know how to do your taxes as a business. And you're going to need to understand how to negotiate so that you don't, and I don't work with anybody that's ever tried to take advantage of me or my situation, luckily, but that does happen in the music industry. And you have to sort of have your head on a swivel so that you don't get got,
Yeah, exactly. And I think at least where you are right now, knowing just peripherally, the business, or like who they are on the business side you're dealing with, like both with Noah and Jesse, they have a very strong network around them. And I'm not going to go into details as to who they are that, does their business management and this and that. But we do know they're close to the artist, which 9 times out of 10 is a good thing. Like these are people that the artist can trust. So,
Brad asks about how did the relationship with Rick Beato start? So Rick and I have been friends for 6 or 7 years now.
Congrats on 1 million subscribers to Rick.
Yeah, man, I gotta hand it to Rick. He's really just killed it.
He has
on YouTube, and I'm really proud of him, man. And so that relationship started when the first artist that I ever played with, 6 or 7 years ago, was going into the studio to cut a record, and the artist that I was playing with decided to go with Rick Beato because Rick had produced a record by a band for a band called Need to Breathe. He actually did 3 Need to Breathe records that were pretty popular. They were well received and pretty successful. And so that was my first time ever being in a recording studio, ever being on a session. It was a big learning curve for me. But it was 2.5 weeks of every day going down to Rick's studio, cutting the record, doing the whole thing. And I fell in love with the process, man. I loved being in the studio. I loved the environment and the energy around it. And so towards the end of the recording session, I asked Rick and his assistant, Ken Lanyon, who we all call GL. I was like, hey, man, would it be okay if I just came down here a couple of days a week just to kind of hang out? Like I'll sweep your floors, or I'll take your trash out. Like I'll do whatever. Like I just want to be here.
Right.
And they were both really cool. They're like, oh yeah, like come down literally whenever you want. Like you can come down every day. And so I started doing that. I started just spending time down in the studio and being there on sessions and hanging out. And about 2 or 3 months after that, Rick invited my dad and I out to lunch in Atlanta, and he talked to my dad and me and basically said, I want Rhett to come intern for me, and I want to teach him basically everything I know about producing and recording and engineering and basically the music business. And so basically as a mentor thing. And that was mind-blowing to me. I mean, at the time, I knew at the time what a crazy opportunity that was. And so for the next 2.5, 3 years after that, I was at that studio between 3 and 5 days a week, almost every single week. That's how I met Noah. I met Noah Guthrie down there because Noah, his first record with Rick. That's how I met Jesse. she at the time was in a band called Muddy Magnolias. She came down there to cut a record, and I ended up playing on that. So it was a really, that's really where my education was.
Right.
Was working and interning at that studio. And the cool thing about Rick was, from the first day, he literally put me in the hot seat on the first day. I was engineering sessions. I was playing guitar on records. I was doing everything. There was none of that, like, you know, when people hear internship, they think, oh, you're just going out and grabbing coffee and doing all that stuff.
For at least a year, right?
Yeah, no, dude, I never had to do any of that. I literally, from the first day, I was learning how to run Pro Tools and how to mic up a drum kit. And I also have to shout out to Ken Lanyon, GL, because Ken taught me as much about recording and engineering as Rick did. Ken is unbelievably talented. He's one of the most talented people I've ever met. And yeah, between those guys, I spent 5 years like basically in the shed honing my skills and learning about being a musician. And I'm still learning.
That's got to carry over too. I'm just thinking, like, if you're going to do a demo of something, you know, you can cut down your prep time probably half of what it would take me, just because you have ballpark ideas, you know, of, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and I know that's going to get me this bass. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that carries through in my production on my YouTube channel. Like even the way I have my amp mic'd right now, you can see down here. Like that's some miking technique I learned from Rick and Ken, and I use it every time. And it's, I don't know, man. I owe Rick a lot, honestly. And we're still really close. We talk on the phone like every day, and we you know, do videos and stuff together. And how he got on YouTube was about 3 years ago. Things in the producing side started to slow down. You know, the music industry has been shifting, as we all know. And things around the studio were starting to slow down. And at the time, he was messing around doing things on like Periscope. He would do these live streams on Periscope till 1 or 2 in the morning, and there would be maybe 2 people watching. Sometimes there would be no people watching, and he'd just be sitting talking to nobody. And I came down to the studio one day and I said, man, you really should do YouTube. I think YouTube would be a really cool thing for you, because he's always been like the Rick that you see on those videos. That is him. He's always been that way. He's always been willing to educate. He's always been willing to share everything he knows. There are no secrets with Rick. He'll tell you everything he knows about something. Incredible educator. And I was like, man, you need to get on YouTube and start. At the time, I was experimenting with videography and like learning how to shoot stuff. And so I helped him shoot his first couple of videos, and I edited like his first 1 or 2 videos, I think. And then he just took the reins, man. And basically in the first year, he did over 400 videos. And
I can relate. I think I started January of last year, and I cut it down a good month ago, but I were already pushing 600 videos. Yeah,
man. I mean, that's the deal with this stuff, dude. Like anything, a big part of what I want to do on YouTube is kind of the way I've been thinking about my channel recently is, like I want to make videos that I wish I could have watched when I was 15 and like first learning guitar. And
I've seen that in your. That, I think that's why I binge watch your channel as much as I do. You know, because I love travel vlogs. Like show everything that happens away from the stage on a 3 gig run or what have you.
Yeah, I mean that's real life, man.
And it's contagious, because I look at your older videos and it's you with the camera.
Yeah.
Then it's you, and well, look, Noah's doing it too. Now it seems like, you know, you can do a van shot and everybody's vlogging at once. It seems.
Yeah, it's become a thing, man. And the best thing to me is like when people come out to shows, like when subscribers come out to shows, and it's not that they're there to see me. It's that like, oh man, I saw Noah's music or I saw Jesse's music on your channel and I'm a huge fan. I came out to see you guys live. Like to me, that puts me over the moon.
Isn't it? I can hear you on that. Yep.
But yeah, like I just feel like, you know, we're so lucky to have this platform and to be privileged enough, or at least, you know, from speaking from my perspective, to be privileged enough have had the life experiences that I've had so far and the ability to develop the skill sets that I have, I feel almost obligated in a way to share that and give that back to as many people as I can in the hope that
I think you're a good storyteller too. You know, like I've heard you sing a bit, but you'd be a good front man because you have a personality. You can engage with the audience.
I've been working on singing, but I don't know if I'm frontman material vocally. But yeah, man, and Rick is the same way. Like, we both make videos in the hopes that somebody out there will watch them and be inspired to like pick up their guitar or continue to practice, or maybe in an extreme case, like follow in what we've done and develop a career as a musician. But like, to me, that's not even all that important. To me, it's more about like, hey, I want somebody to watch one of my videos and be stoked about going to play their guitar and learn something, or maybe like face a fear, like going out and playing live for their first time, or like the big thing I'm working through right now is my singing, like getting up to the point where I'm ready and willing to sing in front of people, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And it starts out, I think you're doing it exactly the right way. Have that mic there as an option. And if you feel like jumping in to back up on some vocals, almost, go for it, but you got to feel it.
Yeah. We had rehearsal with Noah in Good Trouble yesterday and today, and it was mostly just a vocal rehearsal because as a band we all know the songs, we know the arrangement, right. So we just spent yesterday and today working on vocals, and dude, it's a whole new ball game. Like, I'm using parts of my brain that I've never had to use before, and I remember yesterday after rehearsal, like, I was tired. I'm tired right now, and that usually doesn't happen for me, but it's
it's harder to breathe when you're singing as well.
Well, it's just so much more mental energy for me.
That too, yeah.
I'm playing. I'm still the lead guitar player in that band, so it's like I'm playing all my parts and everything, and then I'm also now having to worry about singing and being on pitch, in the pocket, and blending with Noah and Ian, and that's all new to me. I've never done that before, and so it's
I swear it's turning into a lost art. At least on the local, not even local level, but the amount of times I used to mix sound for bands. It's like, how many mics do you need? And they're like, duh, one.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean, duh, one? Whereas the last band I was in, at times we show up, we're a 4-piece, and they're like, how many mics do you need? We're like, 4.
Yeah.
Well, we're not miking the whole back line. We're only putting the vocals to the PA. I'm like, yeah, we still need 4 mics.
Yeah.
Everybody in the band sings.
Yeah.
Well, that's unheard of.
Albus wanted to know, how long did it take me to get Dave Honorado on Instagram? It took some convincing, man. And finally what did it was in one of the last videos that Rick and Dave and I did together. At the end of the video, I just basically plugged an Instagram that he didn't have so that he would be forced to. I was like, everybody go follow Dave on Instagram at Dojo Guitar Repair. And he did it. He had to put the profile out there, but he's killing it, man. He's been posting like 2 or 3 times a day, and
nice.
Yeah, he's already over 1,000 followers, I think. So
I got to hook up with him. By the way, Lawrence has been asking what you're drinking tonight.
Oh,
water.
This. So this is my favorite bourbon that is no longer made. I have this much and then 1 more bottle left, and that's it. It's apparently gone forever.
Nice. And my sister says, I got the singing down, not so much the guitar. And whereas I was the opposite way. I think I sang, it was 1 or 2 songs a night, backing vocals. And then by the end of it, it was, depending on how you feel on stage, I could go from singing 1/3 of the backing vocals to 2/3 of the music.
Right. Yeah. I think, and honestly, like I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I'm excited to practice it. And so now I was like having to temper myself in rehearsal, because it was like, oh, what if we put vocals on this, and what if we did backgrounds on this? It's like, well, not everything needs vocals yet. So right. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and you got a great dynamic going with Noah too. Like you guys as two guitar players, it just works so well.
Noah's actually a really good guitar player. He's an amazing acoustic guitar player.
He is, yes.
Electric is not really his bag. He didn't really grow up playing electric, and so he tends to play electric like an acoustic, which kind of drives me nuts sometimes. And I feel I say that's his face, so I feel confident saying it on a live stream. But as an acoustic player, dude, it also helps that he's a great singer, because the acoustic parts that he writes with his songs are very melodic and very vocal. And yeah, he's just Noah. He's 25 years old. By the time he's 35, a lot of people will know about him and care about his music, because what he's doing is so genuine and so just real. There's no, we're this coming weekend, we're going to be in the studio recording 3 more songs.
Nice.
Dude, there's no record labels. There's no teams of like marketing and PR people behind him telling him, oh, well, you need to write a song like this, or he doesn't have teams of writers. It's like, it's him and sometimes a co-writer.
Yep.
And he's just killing it, man.
He's putting out, this honest roots music, for lack of a better term. Like when people ask me about it, I was just like, it's somewhere in that same vein as Mellencamp, Springsteen, Dwight Yoakam, singing about Americana. He's a little more country than some, a little more rock than others, but if he can play, he can play a country festival, he can play a rock festival. It don't matter. It's going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, the live show is definitely more rocking than the record. And I think that's just because I'm in the band. And I don't know, I'm a rock guy. I love I love tons of stuff, but
plus we can clearly hear the Bonham presence in the drumming.
Ian's definitely. I mean, we're all rockers, but we care about the song, and the message of the song, and that I think is unique. And that took me a long time to get as a guitar player. For the longest time, I would just listen to music and be like, I don't care about the lyrics. You can sing about whatever you want. I just care about the band, man. I just care about the music, man. And then I started listening to Jason Isbell, and he wrecked me. Like listening to Jason's records and actually listening, because the thing about Jason Isbell is his writing is so. I don't want to say simple as if it's like to demean it in any way, because it's not simple, but. No. It's accessible. I think that's the best way I can describe it. His lyrics are accessible and relatable. Yeah. And I started listening to his stuff and was like, oh.
Yeah. Like you can take Noah's music and dumb it down, for lack of a better term, to just, your average player strumming on an acoustic, slapping out those chords, singing along. You can do that. To do the whole package. Well, if you want to do all of Rhett's sugar on top stuff, well, you might want to have a little bit of talent. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, Noah has a few lines that are just real bangers, man, that stick out. One song he has called Razor Blade. My favorite line, probably off of that entire record, is I'm 4 roses in and I don't like the way he looks at you. And like just that turn of phrase, man, like 4 roses, the brand of bourbon, I've had 4 of them and I don't like the way, like, dude, that whole thing just was brilliant.
That's a great, because you can just picture everything.
Yeah. And then off of that song, That's All, which we just cut and should be coming out pretty soon. He has a line at the end of the bridge I'm trying to think of the whole bridge. It's good night place sometime, good night place. I kind of feel like you might have the wrong last name sometimes. Like, dude, the first time I heard that,
Mm-hmm.
he played that for me acoustically. We were just standing in the kitchen, and he was like, "Yeah, I got this new song," and he played that, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's." I mean, what? And at the time, he was 24. Like, what 24-year-old is riding like that?
Yeah.
You know.
I
Sorry.
agree.
Let me get
welcome all joining in here. Man, we've got a bunch of, we've been flirting with like 90, 95 people in here. Insane. Michael B, yes, Noah, if you look, only one Noah.
Yeah, he actually has a big channel.
He does. He has a huge channel.
He has a big channel. Let's see here. Brad wants to know, love the video I did with Dave on the strap build pair. Please stay away from woodworking. Dave is at Dojo Guitar Repair on Instagram. So everybody go follow Dojo Guitar Repair.
That was an enjoyable video.
Yeah.
As a guy who's building a couple of guitars to give away on this channel, I was just like, well, let's see what Ben's going to avoid here. And I went, yeah, I would have went down that exact same rabbit hole.
I learned about, so to be honest, the whole idea was Tilly's idea. To do the build, to do the giveaway. I can't claim that. That was my wife's idea. And I was like, oh, dude, that's a killer idea. Let's do that. And then I got into it and started trying to put the thing together and was like, I'm way in over my head here. Like,
right.
So that's part of the reason it took so long, was because I had to get Dave available to do it, you know.
For me, it's sourcing the right parts and this and that. And I got people that want to help out, which is great. But of course, then you're at the mercy of their timetable on how busy they are with their businesses. Right. So,
yeah.
Hey, Milt. Hey, Damage 262. And of course, hello to Jason Wade and the Fuel Button. Good to see you as well. Yeah, that gold finish was nice. And I'm not a gold person on guitars. Gold hardware, I'm okay with. Gold tops, I'm not too big with.
Well, that's a Novo color, and that's the only guitar that Novo has ever finished that's not a Novo. So that it's kind of unique in that regard. But yeah, man, that gold is...
You seem to have a unique thing with Novos, them doing a lot of one-off stuff.
Yeah.
You know, this paint doesn't exist. RJ as well, right? Like,
yeah, dude, the Ronquillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've been really lucky to get to know Dennis and those guys over the past couple of years.
Great guys.
And the way I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but the way I actually met them was not through the YouTube channel. It was actually before I started doing YouTube, really. It was with this guitar, right after I bought this guitar. So it's got a Mastery bridge and trim on it, okay? And so for anybody out there that might own a Mastery, you know, which I didn't know at the time, you're not supposed to pull the tremolo arm out of the bridge. I don't know why. That's just how Mastery decided to make it. And so when I first got the guitar, whenever I put it in the case, I'd pull the arm out and put it in the case. And when I put it in one day on a gig, the arm got jammed, like completely stuck where it wouldn't move. It was almost like it was welded inside. You couldn't pull it out. So that was right when they moved to Nashville, when Novo moved to Nashville. And I just hit them up on Instagram. I was like, hey, guys, I just bought this guitar, and the trim arm is stuck. I don't know what to do. And it was Matthew who responded. I was like, hey, man, yeah, we just moved shop. Like, come to the shop next time you're in Nashville. And I did. Like, when I went there the first time, they had nothing. Like, that space that you were in for Novo Bash was completely empty. Like, Dennis's office was empty. There was no equipment in the shop in the back. Like, they had just moved house. And I met Dennis that day, and he replaced the whole bridge assembly for me and everything. And we just stayed in touch ever since. And then when I started making YouTube videos, we just, you know.
So the question is, are we supposed to leave the bar in all the time?
Yes.
Okay.
I was told in a not so nice manner by the people at Mastery to never take the bar out. And they would not be replacing the bridge under any circumstances if I did take the bar out. And I should have read the instructions. It was not a great interaction, I have to say, with Mastery at the time. And I've heard that from several other people who've dealt with them as well. So if you ever buy a guitar with a Mastery bridge, don't ever pull this arm out, because it will screw it up.
Good to know.
Yeah.
That's why I was waiting. And my sister says, Rhett is a cool dude. Glad you and Aaron spread the word. Well,
thank you.
We try. I figured, that's one thing I wanted to do with the channel is like not have just focused on this little corner of the music world over and over.
Right.
And so, it's like, let's get a variety of players. Let's get a variety of industry people on, and, like yourself, I have a very vast background as far as different styles of music I like. So why put yourself into a niche?
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of do the same thing. Like, if you go look at my channel, I don't really do just one or two types of videos. I kind of just, come up with an idea. I'm like, oh, this might be cool to make a video about, and then do that. And, I don't know. I feel like it's cool that way.
Jason Wade is asking, what are your thoughts on the Marcus King band?
I love the Marcus King band. I've gotten to know Marcus and those guys pretty well over the past couple years. So the old band that I was in was called Muddy Magnolias, and before those girls split up, we actually did a lot of stuff with Marcus King. We played, I think it was their second family reunion festival with them. We did the Joe Bonamassa Blues Cruise with them. We played Ride Fest in Telluride, Colorado, when they were there. Marcus is a cool guy. Unbelievable player, dude. He will go down, I think, as one of the greats. I think he'll go down as one of the guitar hero greats for sure. And what's really interesting is I actually met Marcus when he was like 16 at Rick Beato's studio. He and his dad like came down because I think they were shopping for producers for Marcus's like first record or something.
Okay.
And they came down to the studio one day when I was there working, interning, and I met Marcus then and had no idea who he was. Just like, oh, he's just like 16-year-old kid who plays guitar. That's cool. And now he's Marcus King band. But the rest of those guys in that band, Jack on drums and Steven on bass, like every single one of those dudes are world-class players.
Yeah. Jason Wade says he saw them with Gary Clark. That would be a good double bill.
Yeah. Damn. And Marcus, they just did a record, I think, with Dan Auerbach, or Marcus was doing some stuff with Dan Auerbach, but I think they also just did a record with Dave Cobb, maybe. I want to say, which, Dave Cobb.
I think Eddie Van Haskell he says, that's a very nice guitar. I will trade you 11 healthy oxen for it.
Well, I don't have the space or the required knowledge base to know what to do with an oxen, much less 11.
Yep.
I'm going to pass on that deal. Thank you, though.
That's why I love Eddie. He comes up with the greatest stuff.
I'm sure you could like move some stuff with an ox or 11 oxen.
Yeah, I would think so.
But I don't need anything moved currently, so. Let's see here.
Well, you're cool too, Brett McCord. He says, I thought you meant Brett is cool, dude, and spread the word. Nice. Very cool.
Oh, man. Let's see here. I'm seeing to see if I missed any.
Yeah, I'm just looking through too. Oh, I did see a question earlier. Someone had asked what picks and strings you prefer.
Picks, kind of just whatever. Robert Baker in the chat. What's up, dude?
Mr. Baker.
Speaking of world-class players, my friend, Robert Baker is no slouch on the guitar. Let me tell you.
He needs a lick or two.
Yeah, he can get his way around the fretboard pretty good. Strings, I use D'Addario NYXLs 10 to 46. I was a big Elixir guy for a long time, and then I just got real tired of spending that much money on strings.
I found they didn't last any longer for me either because I like to do pick slides.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is too is Elixirs are just D'Addarios. They're just coated. And I remember when I found that out, I felt like I was like, "What? No, that's not." So anyway, yeah, I D'Addario, and then I don't have any particular like brand or shape of pick that I like. It's kind of just whatever. The one thing is I like heavy picks. I don't want the pick to flex at all.
Right.
Even when I'm playing acoustic, because it gives me more control.
I agree.
The tone. So like right now I'm just plugged straight into my divided by 13. With a heavy pick, you know, I can lighten up. You can dig in as well. And then with a thinner pick, which I don't even know if I have one around here. Let's see. No. Anyway, thinner picks, they kind of have a threshold.
Right.
Where, like literally, if you try and dig in, the pick will just bend out of the way of the string.
Right.
You don't actually have that much control. You may only have 40% or 50% control over that dynamic that you do with a heavier pick. And so it also works great for like the heavy strumming stuff or some like that kind of thing. I like to be able to hear that.
Right.
Thinner pick, you don't get as much of that. It sounds thinner.
Right.
And especially on acoustic, a lot of people will want to play a thinner pick on acoustic, and it just doesn't sound as good because you're not pushing as much vibration through the top of that guitar, and getting it to project more, especially if you're.
You might just hear the pick slapping against the strings more than anything else.
Yeah, and so you get a lot of that like plasticky sound, but the reality is, dude, I don't like that. I don't want that sound to come through because from a recording perspective on an acoustic, that real plasticky sound sits in my opinion, kind of a gross frequency spectrum that I end up trying to cue out anyways. So I don't know. Yeah, I play heavy picks. This is a D'Addario Cortex 1mm, and this is about as thin as I would go as a 1.
Okay. Yeah, I used to use nothing but 1 mils. Then I started using the white Tortex.
Yeah.
Because those are the biggest ones that were given away at NAMM.
Yeah. Right.
And I scored a year's worth of picks at Winter NAMM, and then I scored a year's worth at Summer NAMM. So now I'm giving away on the channel, but I did find the thinner picks are much better for the pick slides.
Yeah. You know, I actually don't do that many pick slides because it chews your picks up. But yeah.
Well, that was funny. I was talking with the D'Addario reps, and they were telling me about their new XT strings, which are a coated string.
Yeah.
And my first question to them was, can you do a pick slide? He says, why? I said, well, with Elixirs, I do 3 pick slides. My guitar looks like it has dandruff, and the strings are dead because they're exposed.
Right.
And he was like, he goes, yeah, these are pick slide proof. And so they gave me a set to do a demo on, and that's in my demo. I'm just sitting there just pick sliding. I was like, well, I can feel grooves in the pick, and there's nothing on the guitar. So
I mean, there you go.
They won me over. And those things, it literally feels like regular strings with a coating of WD-40 on them.
Right.
I was shocked. So,
which I actually have friends that do that. They'll keep a microfiber towel or a cotton towel in their case in a plastic bag that's just soaked in WD-40. Mm-hmm. And when they get off of a gig, they'll just wipe their strings down with it. I'll just replace the strings. Like, to me, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, those guys will do that and clean them up. I actually don't really do anything to like clean my guitars. I guess I should, but
I usually give them a cleaning each string change.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm doing so many outdoor gigs, unfortunately, like, especially during the summer, where it's like this guitar, you won't be able to see it on the camera, but it's pretty covered in sweat. Like, just from the body, and you know, I mean, it is what it is, dude. It's
right. Hey, Dave Byron.
I'm not like super precious about my guitars.
I like that idea, Baker. I'm going to steal that. New series, but will it pick slide?
But will it pick slide? You can do it with basses.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll pick slide.
Oh, okay. There we go. We need to ask it what you thought of those Lawler blackface pickups.
I actually really dig those, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Strat guy. I'll just be honest. Strats are not my thing. I have a Strat. I have a really great Fender Strat. I have a John Mayer black one.
Okay.
Which I bought for a very good deal about 7 years ago, and now it's, I think, worth probably twice what I paid for it. But those blackface pickups are exactly what I would want my next Strat to sound like. I mean, they're just balanced. You know, they're not too mid-scooped. They're not too high output. They're sort of right in the middle. And for that guitar, that's what I wanted to do because, you know, I don't know who that guitar is going to go to. So I kind of wanted it to be able to fit just about anybody.
Right. Yeah. Nothing too hot. Nothing too cool. Hey, Les. Good to see you. Somebody asked earlier if anybody got any new gear, and I did get a guitar on Thursday.
Nice.
Something different out of my wheelhouse. You may have noticed in the background, I've got I'm mainly a Telecaster player.
Yeah.
So, but I bought this on Thursday.
Oh man, EDH.
So, this is a 2011 made in Japan Wolfgang special. It's got the vintage size stainless frets, which is the big deal because I guess a lot of guys are taking these necks and putting them on their US builds even.
Right.
But yeah, basically stock, got it, and barely put it down and made any of my Les Paul style guitars obsolete.
Right. Yeah, that's funny, man. I'm intrigued by this idea of guitars and what maybe I should make a video about this. I don't know exactly how to do it yet, but people's choice in guitars say a lot about them and like their personalities, obviously. But I feel like we don't actually think about it that much. So like I'm just looking at my rack back here and it's like, okay, I have a thing. And my thing is I like, if it was designed between the years of 1954 and 1968, that's what I like.
Sure. I'm that way most of the time too.
Yeah. And so, but it's cool. Like, I made a video at the Boutique Guitar Showcase last week. It came through town, which if anybody hasn't been to that, if it's coming near you anywhere, you should absolutely go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool is like there's so many guitars there that are completely out of my wheelhouse. You know, 7 strings and fanned frets and the whole thing. And like when I pick a guitar like that up, it's like I don't know. It's almost like I don't know how to play guitar because it's like I'm sitting there just noodling around. It's like what I'm putting through this instrument is just not at all what its voice is
right
for, you know. But when I pick up, you know, something like a Novo or my Gretsch or a Les Paul or something, it's like, oh yeah, now this fits and I feel comfortable and at home. Right. You know? Like for me, any guitar with a Floyd Rose on it is like, I probably can't play that.
I have one. And again, I blame the YouTube community because it would either be a Les Paul or a Tele, depending on the gig.
Yeah.
And started hanging out with the YouTube guitar community. And last June, I bought a 86 Kramer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I have my token Floyd Rose guitar in the rack. It's there if I need it.
Yeah.
And I was gigging with it 2 weeks after I got it, which was funny because the other guitar player in the band, during the set I played the Kramer, he was playing an Ibanez AF-75 full hollow body jazz guitar.
Right.
It looked interesting on stage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the kind of juxtaposition of that stuff. See, somebody was asking me earlier, and I don't think I answered it, about the Gibson CS 336. I've not played those. I have played a Johnny A, which is that the same thing that you're talking about, Dog?
It looks like it.
I did play a Johnny A at Righteous, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I didn't vibe with it. I didn't jive with it. It wasn't my thing. But that's not to say it's a bad guitar. Like that's the thing about YouTube and when people ask your opinion on stuff. You know, I strive to be transparent in my opinion on stuff, even if it's like something that a company gave me or whatever. Like the Kemper I was talking about earlier. Like, yeah, my Kemper, they gave that to me, but it's having a lot of problems.
Right.
And, like as of right now, I probably wouldn't buy a Kemper stage. I would wait until they fix the issues, because right now mine's not even playable. Like I can't gig with it.
Right.
On the guitar thing, people always want to know, like, oh, what do you think about this if you played one of these? And it's like, yeah, I may love it, and you may pick it up and have it be the most dead, uninspiring thing you've ever played. So that's why I always tell people, like, dude, go play it. Like, I can tell you what I think, and you can watch a video on it, and you can hear me play it, but like, you have to go and connect with that guitar.
Right.
So yeah,
I agree on that. And yeah, I try to play just about everything that I can get my hands on. Just doing a live Q&A every week, you come across so much stuff because your audience is so vast as far as different styles and this and that. So I try to, but I also don't have the best memory in the world. So thankfully we got Aaron from Eldis, who has a great memory, so he can remind me, because I'll be like, oh yeah, I haven't played one of those. He goes, dude, you totally played one Friday morning at NAMM. I went,
right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're pretty good.
It's weird, man. You can't really, like, the thing about NAMM is it's such a terrible place to try out a piece of gear, because you can't hear it. You can't, especially if you're talking about an amp or a pedal or even a guitar, like you can't really feel what it's like because you just can't hear.
Yeah. At best, you can get a basic idea of what the neck feels like, comfort level, balance, but yeah.
Yeah. Rock and Dave, no, I've never played the Howard Roberts Fusion. Never played one of those. Gibson has done a bunch of weird stuff I've just never like seen or played before.
I always research the dark time, as I call it, the late 70s, when Fender was trying to build Gibsons and Gibson was trying to build Fenders.
Oh, God. Is that whenever they did the Gibson Strat, like the Hendrix thing?
Yeah, and they were doing bolt-on necks, single coil pickups, and then you had Fender like, we're putting humbuckers and everything. It's like, okay, sure.
Ron wants to know when the last time I was fishing. I don't know, when I was like maybe 9 years old. I don't actually know if I've ever caught a fish. I don't have the patience for it. It's a lot of like, you just and then wait, and I don't like the waiting. I gotta be doing something.
Yep. See, now this is why I love Eddie. A guitar that doesn't feel right is like walking around with corn relish in your shoes. Sure.
I've never walked around with corn relish. I don't even know what corn relish is, but
Aaron still wants a Gibson Marauder. I like an RD.
Jeremy wants to know about the new Kemper stage. Don't buy one yet. I will say that. So Kemper gave me the stage, and I used it to make a video about like a Helix versus Kemper thing last week. I jumped on that bandwagon finally. And I'm a Kemper fan. I'm a Kemper user. I have a Kemper rack in this rack right behind me here. I've had it for 6 years. I actually bought it from Rick Beato. And it's great. The stage, in my opinion, they rushed it to market. They pushed it out way sooner. It wasn't ready. It just wasn't ready. And when you look around at like the Kemper Facebook groups and stuff, so many people are having issues with them right now.
I was wondering, because usually, you hear rumblings prior to a product launch, and I thought that thing came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because they didn't talk about it at NAMM, at Winter NAMM.
Nope.
They talked about the cabinet and the editor. And the editor's not out yet. And the cabinet was cool, but in my opinion, I think the power cab from line 6 is a better option. I've run my Kemper through the power cab from line 6, and it sounds awesome. So the stage, yeah, it's like it came out of nowhere. Obviously, they're trying to get in on the Helix market and kind of take some of that market share away. And it looks to me like they just rushed it to market. And they just were like, oh, well, we've already got the Kemper. We'll just repackage it. We'll combine the profiler and the remote. We'll put it in one case and we'll be off to the races. But dude, now the thing is, they'll figure it out. They'll work it out. Like I said, I'm a fan of Kemper. I love what they do. But right now, especially if you're a gigging musician, do not buy one of those and expect it to be reliable enough to gig on, because it just won't. Like mine has had a bunch of software issues. I've done 2 updates on it already, and every update fixes one issue and like 2 or 3 others pop up. And then one of my buttons, one of the foot switches went bad, which is a really common issue that a lot of them are having right now, are bad foot switches.
Which could be not so much a design problem as a supply problem.
Yeah, it's a manufacturing problem. And I think that's what I'm talking about, is like they rush it to market. And look, they'll fix it. They're going to like their head of product development, I think it was, got in touch with me, emailed me. I didn't even like reach out to them. They saw my Facebook post and emailed me. And so props to them for being proactive, and they're taking the steps necessary, I think, to fix it. But I would hold off on a Kemper stage. That's what I'm saying. So
cool.
Yeah, man.
I agree on that. Keep those questions coming, folks. Good stuff here. Paul, best humbucker bridge / 90 neck telly style. Well, I'm rather biased, because for a humbucker, I would recommend the Canuck bucker. For the P90, I recommend my signature P90. And for the telly, I recommend the vintage Workhorse, which is my telly set. Outside of that, good question. Low output humbucker in the neck.
Brian Landry said tubes don't need updates, but tube amps fail all the time, my man.
Yeah.
Nothing's 100% reliable. Nothing.
Hey, it will.
Dude, I've had my Helix freeze up on a gig before. I've had tubes go down. I've had speakers blow up.
Yep.
I've had countless cables go bad.
I've had wireless units go down.
Oh, well, that's why I don't use wireless at all.
Yeah.
Dude, my thing on wireless is like, unless you're playing a giant stage with like a 300-foot ego ramp that you have to run down each night, you don't need a wireless rig.
For me, it was during one of the sets, I would run out the front door of the venue and then come in the back door. Then, of course, you're trying to keep time because you can't hear the damn band as you're running around outside in the venue.
Right. Can't say I've ever done that, but yeah, I get I've gotten questions before from guys and like who play in churches, like do the worship thing. I'm like, hey man, what wireless rig do you recommend? You know, I'm playing for my church gig. And it's like, none. I recommend none. I recommend a cable, because you are adding needless complexity to your rig. You're adding another possible failure point, whether it be, you know, RF interference or batteries going dead in your pack or whatever. Like, where on a church gig, for the most part, you're literally standing in front of your pedal board the whole time.
Right.
Like, you don't do the wireless thing, man.
Yeah. I agree on that. I think that's one of the reasons I haven't really gone over to the Helix, Kemper, or anything like that too, because if I have one pedal go bad on my pedal board, I can just rip it off and bypass it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can. I mean, look, like I said, nothing is completely foolproof. I will say, man, like, as somebody who does both like the tube amp and the digital rig thing, both have their strengths and their pros and cons.
Well, and I get it. If you're flying, you gotta stay light. You gotta stay compact.
Oh, dude, even if I'm not flying, like, the thing that I love about the Kemper or the Helix is being able to like get to any venue, any gig, and just throw the thing on the floor, switch it on, and it's going to sound exactly like it did the night before, and it's going to sound exactly like it did the night before that. 100% consistent. With tube amps, they're finicky. You know, depending on the power that's coming out of the wall, your amp is going to sound different.
Temperature
on who mics your amp up and what they're miking it with, it's going to sound different.
Mm-hmm.
Temperature, you're right. Like, there's so many variables where it's like I've literally had this happen dozens of times on the road where it's like, yeah, one night it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best tone I've ever had. My sound is killer. And then the next night it's like, dude, my rig sucks. I'm selling this amp.
Yep.
Like, that's a little extreme example, but it is how it happens, man, because they do change.
Hey, there's my cousin Doug in the chat.
Nice.
I totally forgot to text you, Doug. I was going to tell him that you were coming on because I know he would really dig your stuff. Right up his alley. We got 95 people watching, 49 thumbs ups. Can we get another 11 thumbs ups? Get it up to 60. That'd be awesome. I think too, it depends on like what level you play at. Like for me, we only put vocals through the PA, generally speaking, because I'm playing bar gigs. And if somebody spills a beer on my pedal board, I can bypass that pedal or use Lawrence Petross design pedals, which are beer proof.
Right. Sleepy Lab, when stacking overdrives, do you prefer a clean boost like a Timmy before or after a tone? Well, I wouldn't call a Timmy a clean boost. Timmy's definitely an overdrive pedal. Before or after a tube screamer, I actually wouldn't necessarily stack a Timmy and a tube screamer because they're both
kind of mid-focused.
Yeah, they're both pretty mid-focused, and that would definitely especially if you're playing humbuckers. But you said you're playing single coil, so what I would do is I would pick either the Timmy or the tube screamer as your dirt pedal, and then I would get either a light gain overdrive. My version of that is like the Greer Lightspeed.
Mm-hmm.
Speed and the Timmy are magical together, or a clean boost. And you can do the clean boost before the Timmy to get some more gain and saturation out of it, or you can do the clean boost after the Timmy as like a solo boost, like volume boost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you're using it as an actual lead boost, it has to go after your dirt. Otherwise, you're just going to further saturate your dirt.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing. I do that all the time.
I'll be shooting a video on that this week.
Yeah. But I probably wouldn't stack the Timmy and the tube screamer together.
Right.
Unless with the Timmy, let's see here.
Well, I don't have a Timmy, but I do have the Lawrence Petross Lost Dutchman, which is kind of his take on the Timmy. And I found throwing a Zen drive into it is phenomenal.
So like on this one, this is how I normally run my Timmy. Oh, there we go. Just like that. And if I was going to pair it with a tube screamer, I would dial the gain back and I would dial the bass back and have it be more of a clean boost with some top end going through it. Like
right.
That's how I'd run it. But
yeah,
here we are.
Let's see here. Dave is asking, hey, Ben, do you use your Fender Blues Deluxe at your gigs? I love the sound I get out of our Fender George Benson Hot Rod Deluxe. Love that tube tone, bro. Yes, the last couple of bands I was in, I was using my Blues Deluxe, although I haven't actually played through the amp since the last band broke up in April. I've been playing through my B52 since then, and I am loving it. It's got a few extra options to it, like the low end resonance, and it's got a mid contour, so I get a little more out of it tone wise, a little more bottom end, which I've been lacking. As I was told, what was it? My tone was piercing in prior bands.
Right.
I always cut through the mix.
Nice.
Brian Landreth is asking, is the Zen drive working out? Yes, it is, buddy. Like I say, the Zen drive into the Lawrence Petross Lost Dutchman, which is like a Timmy. Wow, what a tone combo. It is a little mid-focused, but it really works for that classic rock stuff.
Yeah, man. And mid-range is good because, well, let me clarify. The right mid-range is good. As a guitar player, you have to be sensitive to the EQ of, like, you have to be sensitive of where you're sitting in the sonic spectrum of the band in the live context. So for example, the amp I'm playing through right now, my FTR 37, that amp is capable of putting out so much bass that it'll actually fight with a full-blown bass amp on stage. I mean, it can really push in the low end. So I have to, when I'm playing live, especially if we're in like a theater where it has like a wooden stage, I pretty much have to roll the bass all the way off with that amp. So with mid-range, pretty much almost all of your guitar's sound is sitting in the mid-range of the tonal spectrum.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's also where the human voice sits. And that's also where other instruments like keys, sometimes bass can sit too. So you're fighting for a lot of space. There's a lot of it's a crowded space. So I always have to be sensitive. Like there are certain pedals that I'll use with Noah that I won't use with Jesse. There are certain sounds and amp setups that I'll use with Jesse that I won't use with Noah, because their voices are different and they sit in different places. Noah, obviously being a dude, is a little bit lower, a little bit more low mid focus than Jesse is. And so like I have to pick overdrive sounds and lead sounds that will fit around the vocal.
Okay.
And so that's why I like things like the Timmy, where, with Noah, for example, somebody was asking about the steel string from Vertex. I love the steel string. I don't do steel string live with Noah because steel string is very mid-focused. It has a big mid-range push. And for whatever reason, when I play the steel string with Noah, it just fights with him.
Well, doesn't he use one as well?
He's got one as well, but we're playing through different amps.
True.
And so, yeah, I don't use the steel string with Noah. But I do use it with Jessie because she's in the higher register.
Right.
Her vocal timbre is brighter and a little bit more present than Noah's is. Noah has a thing that, like, right around 3K, when he sings, like, E, like not the note E, but like that sound E, if you have him on the wrong mic, or you have him on a mic or a stage where a front of house engineer doesn't know how to EQ, like when he does that, it'll break glass, dude. Like you can literally see people when he does that, people will be like, oh God. And it's not, he's a bad singer. It's just that part of his voice is very present. Yeah. And it just comes out. So, yeah, as guitar players, man, you have to be what am I looking for? Conscious of your tonal choices in the context of a band,
Exactly. I do agree. And so we got a few minutes left, and somebody was asking about this rumor that you may have a pedal coming out with a company, and I didn't know if you wanted to talk too much about that, or...
I may or may not be having a pedal coming out with Mythos pedals. It's in development right now. It's going to be very cool.
Zach was on the channel a few weeks ago. He had totally ignored the subject of your pedal and then pretty much threw RJ's out to the world. And RJ's in the chat going, shut up, please shut up.
Yeah. I don't know when it's going to be out. We're still tweaking it. I went up to Nashville a couple weeks ago to start working on it. Zach put a prototype together, and dude, right out of the gate, like his first prototype, pretty much nailed it. There was just a couple of tweaks to make, and so yeah, it'll be for sale eventually, like through my shop, through my website, rhettshull.com. But I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be
very cool. And yeah, somebody said you and RJ both. Yes, and both those pedals I think would work well with each other as well.
I think so. I actually don't know much about RJ's pedal yet. I've seen a mock-up of it, but it looks really interesting.
Yeah.
There's controls on it that you don't normally see on a lot of pedals. So yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Right. And that just reminded me, Lawrence, if you're still in the chat, we need to talk about a pedal this week. So,
yeah,
I heard you're getting a package from Lawrence tomorrow.
I am. Yeah, Lawrence has been super cool, man. I really love his stuff. I've got the Saguaro boost on my board right now.
That was the first one he ever sent me.
Yeah, that thing's cool, man, because it's just the one knob and it's all you need, you know. It works great with this amp right here with the Tweed. It's killer.
I think I'm up to 5 Lawrence pedals now.
Yeah, I think I got probably 4 or 5. I have the 68 drive, which is killer.
That one I don't have yet. Although I too am getting a package tomorrow from him, and I don't know. I didn't even ask. He just sent me a tracking number and a smiley face.
I didn't either.
It's like, so yes, folks, don't forget, tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern for Canucks with Guitars. There should be an unboxing.
Oh, this is a good question, I think, to end on with Brad. Have I ever gone to sound guys and said, you need to fix this? Yes. And I learned very quickly that that's a bad vibe. Like, don't. It's not your job as the band member, or at least not my job as a band member, to like go and tell somebody else at the venue how to do their job. That was a mistake I made early on in my career. And it just wasn't. It would be like if somebody came up to you and told you how to do your job. Like, oh yeah, sorry, I play guitar, so you need to do. It's like, whoa, well. So what I'd usually do is I'll leave it to the tour manager, somebody that can actually be out in the crowd and listening. And what they'll usually do is like, hey man, could we, get more vocals or whatever. But yeah, don't do that.
Sleepy Lab is saying we need Noah with Rhett to come to Toronto and Belleville. Belleville is one town over from me, and they have a wonderful 600-700 seat theater.
Nice, man.
One of those restored theaters. So, which I think his type of music should be played in a venue like that. Yeah,
Noah's stuff does really well in that like 500 to 1500 cap theater thing.
Yeah. Great. And Lawrence says, shower the people you love with love. Aw. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Poo Ninja says, bring the sound guy food. You'll have better sound. I always found giving him a joint helped, so I don't know.
Yeah, man. I just learned. I've had a lot of really bad experiences with sound guys, and I've had a lot of really good experiences with sound guys. And generally, I have better experiences when you just show up and you have a positive attitude, even if they're being terrible, like just being cool. There have been times when I've lost my cool, but it's been very, very few and far between, and very much so when the person in question, I won't say deserved it because that's not right. They pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And yeah, so you don't want to do that either. You don't want to be unprofessional, but this is part of the job, man. It's like learning how to deal with people and like showing up in a different place each night and like meeting new people and having to figure them out kind of real quick and to deal with them. And
as Aaron always says, you can have all the talent in the world, but you got to be a good hang too.
Oh, for sure, dude. The hang is the most important part, honestly.
Yeah.
So
exactly. You might be on stage for an hour with the guys, but you're in that van for 12 hours.
Or 24.
Or 24.
Yeah. Yes. Boston to Atlanta in one shot, 24 hours.
Yep.
Don't want to do that again.
There we go. So I think we'll wrap it up on that note. I don't want to keep you too late. Do you have anything to add, my good man?
Yeah, if you just check out the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, Rhett Shull. And I'm starting to work on some original music. I'm doing another co-write with my friend Jamie Porti tomorrow, which I should be filming, making a vlog of. But yeah, we'll hopefully be releasing some original stuff soon and have some new merch out. You can find all that stuff on my website, rhettshull.com. I also have Helix presets and Kemper profiles and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and there we go. Terry he's been putting it in the chat as well. In the description, if you're watching on replay, YouTube channel, website, check it out. You can check out Rhett's tour dates on the website.
Yeah, I also have the podcast, and my podcast this week will be with Mary Spender, so it should be a good episode.
Very nice. And thanks for the kind words on your podcast when Aaron and I called in the one time.
I'm serious, man. You guys need to do a show of your own. That'd be fun.
We've been talking. That's all I'll say on air. So
nice.
There we go. So
Awesome.
yeah, if you just want to hold the line, thanks everyone that tuned in tonight. Man, we had a ton of people in here. I've been seeing the numbers, folks. Thank you very much. Tune back in here in an approximately 22 and a half hours for Canucks with Guitars, featuring myself, probably solo because I haven't heard back from the co-host yet. So I'll play some guitar, answer some questions. Thanks everyone that's been supporting the channel. And as I always say, hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you. Karma's real. I'm living the dream. Rhett's living the dream. I hope you are too. And be good to each other, folks. Cheers and rock on.
See you guys.